Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast, Nintendo News Minute for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. I'm so excited to jump into this. We got lots of cool things to cover, like some of the details about the Mario movie, a classic getting a remake in the style of Scott Pilgrim, an older game that's been out on PlayStation and Xbox making its way to Switch, an 8-bit NES inspired game that's got a little it's taking a little inspiration from like Shovel Knight. League of Legends has a spin-off and a little indie game where the profits are going to a charity. So let's jump into this thing, starting right off with the Mario movie and some of the details with the physical release. So according to Nintendo Life here, thanks to the Australian Classification Board, we got some information on what's going to be included in the release, the Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K options of the Super Mario Brothers movie, which still tentatively scheduled for a July release, but stay tuned for the for confirmation on that one. According to the Australian Classification Board, here's the full rundown. Super Mario Field Guide, interviews with cast explaining the worlds in the movie, Peach's lyrical video, a love song about Princess Peach from Bowser, Leveling Up, interviews with cast and crew about when they discovered the world of Mario Brothers and the making of the film. That's going to be fun. Leadership lesson, interview with Anna Taylor-Joy on how to be like Princess Peach. And getting to know the cast, interviews with cast about the characters they play. There are pre-orders already available at Walmart and Best Buy, like we talked about yesterday. If you are watching, you might be able to see the little picture there of the black steelbook with the mushroom on it. And there is also rumored to be a Mario Brothers short on the way, but nothing has been officially confirmed yet. So, fingers crossed that we get a little bit more a little bit more from the Mario Brothers movie. Today, actually, I was pretty excited to be able to pick up. You might be able to see it behind me, maybe not. I was able to find the Mario's Hot Wheel van in from Amazon. And so it's a little bit overpriced right now, but I will put a link in the description if you guys want to pick one up yourself. It looks super cool, and it was shipped perfectly, so the packaging is in good shape. I'm probably not going to open this one. I may get a second one and open it because I can't see Mario on the side of the van. I can only see Luigi. So it's kind of making me break out in hives a little bit. I'm just playing. Moving on. Biomutant. This is from My Nintendo News. To release on Nintendo Switch in November. THQ Nordic and developer Experiment 101 have announced that Biomutant, the open-world post-apocalyptic Wung Fu Fable RPG, will be released for the Nintendo Switch on November 30th. The game is currently available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam, Epic Game Store, GOG, and Humble Store. Biomutant features a unique martial arts style combat system that allows players to mix melee, shooting, and mutant ability action as they progress through the game. Players can learn new Wung Fu combat forms and recode their genetic structure to change the way they look and play. Exposure to biocontamination in the game's world will lead to mutations like turtle form, mucus bubble, while exposure to radioactivity found in the bunkers from the old world will affect players' mind and unlock psi mutations like telekinesis and levitation. Now, I have gone hands-on with this game. I got a review copy back on the Xbox when it first launched, and I remember having a pretty good time with it. I'm assuming there has been some patches and updates along the way. It did have a very Nintendo feel. So if you are if the Switch is your main and only console, keep an eye out for this one because I think it's something you might enjoy. I would say go check out some videos and some gameplay. But I'm glad to see this one's making its way over to the Switch. And it's coming out in November. That's gonna be we can only assume it's gonna be a pretty busy time of year for the Switch. So it may not be the best time for them to release this game, but I'm glad to see it's still making its way to the Switch nonetheless, because it kind of had like a cameo feel, which I know that was a rare game on the 360. but also kind of some a little bit of like Breath of the Wild kind of meets Bayonetta in a way is one way I would kind of describe it. So I don't know, definitely worth checking out. Curious how it's going to run on Switch, and I may fire up again on Xbox just to see the current state of the game and how it's running and everything. So new one coming, new game coming to the Switch this November. Heading on over to NintendoEverything.com, Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons announced for Switch. And it says publisher Modus Games and developer Secret Base, in partnership with Arc System Works, today unveiled Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons. The game launches on Switch this fall. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons is a new entry in the beat 'em up series that will let players experience the early beginnings of the young Double Dragon brothers as they take on both new and familiar enemies in this alternate story. As a roguelike, each playthrough will be different, and the difficulty of the missions you take on will change depending on the order you've selected them. And they've also got some additional information here, and it says, prepare to throw down the Double Dragon Way in this fresh addition to the iconic beat 'em up franchise. It is the year 1990X, and nuclear war has devastated New York City, leaving its citizens to fight for survival as riots and crime engulf the streets. The city has been overtaken by criminal gangs who terrorize its ruins as they fight for total dominance. Unwilling to endure these conditions any longer, young Billy and Jimmy Lee take it upon themselves to drive the gangs out of their city. Explore the early beginnings of the young Double Dragon brothers as they take on both new and familiar enemies in this alternate story. In this fresh roguelike, anyway, that's literally taken from what was up above. So as far as some key features in the game, and there is a trailer out on YouTube if you want to check it out. You've got tag team action, choose two fighters and seamlessly switch between them, giving you a multitude of strategies for devastating combos, defensive and offensive moves. And they kind of showed it off to where like one of the characters is more about the being on the offensive, while the other is more about being on the defensive. Beat 'em up with rogue-lite elements. Experience endless playthrough possibilities with a dynamic mission select function. The order in which you choose your mission will affect mission length, number of enemies, and overall difficulty. Choose where you improve and randomize purchasable upgrades for your characters at the end of each mission, or save your cash to revive your players in mission. 13 unique playable characters. Start the fight with Billy, Jimmy, and Marion, and Uncle Matten. Earn tokens along the way to unlock a diverse roster of 9 more characters, each with their own playstyle and strengths. Strategically choose your fighting duo by taking into account each other's strengths and weaknesses. Shape your experience and rewards. Adjust game difficulty to affect the amount of tokens earned per session, and use the tokens to unlock content from the token shop, including characters, tips, and more. Modifier can A modifier can be used to enter permadeath or even infinite mode. This is interesting. I wasn't expecting a roguelite in the Double Dragon series, but here we are. This is what's going to upset people or bum people out a little bit. Local co-op. Friend, clean up the city streets together in local co-op mode that supports up to 2 players. It's a shame when a game like this launches without online capabilities. That is too bad. But I want to hear from you guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments. How do you feel about this Double Dragon game? I'm personally not a huge fan of roguelites. They don't really resonate with me. I feel like it's a continual backtrack where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And so a lot of times I don't like it. But with this one, for instance, it looks like you can choose different paths each time, which may make it a little more interesting as long as there are enough levels to keep things fresh. That's kind of where I'm at. So really cool to see an older IP getting kind of a modern treatment, and hopefully this one does well. I know the other Double Dragons have kind of been a little hit or miss as they've released, and never quite hit the same levels of hype and excitement as they did back in the arcade and then on the NES and even the Super Nintendo when they teamed up with the Battletoads. That was some top tier gaming back then. All right, back over to Nintendo Life. We've got an 8-bit NES-inspired platformer. Batboy is part Shovel Knight, part Mega Man. So that seems pretty exciting. Looking at some of the screenshots here, definitely has that 8-bit aesthetic. Probably a few more colors. Looks almost 10-bit. Let's go with that. But I'm here for it. I love the art style. I love pixel art, as most of you know. And this looks something that could be right up my alley. Let's take a look at the article here. It says, are you a fan of Shovel Knight? How about Mega Man? If you answered yes to either of those questions, then you may be entitled to wait, no, that's not right. That's what the article says. If you answered yes, we have a feeling you're going to love Batboy, an 8-bit action platformer from X Plus Games that takes everything great from Shovel Knight and Mega Man and lumps it into a neat little package that frankly looks awesome. Yo, I'm here for this. I am definitely here for this. And because Shovel Knight for me, it took a ton of inspiration from not only the Legend of Zelda uh Link's Adventure, but also from DuckTales. And DuckTales was one of those NES games that like I hold up there with the Turtles games and basically some of my favorites that were non Nintendo first party. DuckTales, Turtles, right up there with some of my favorites. And Mega Man I really got into on Super Nintendo, but this looks pretty solid. Let's take a look at some of the details about the game. A thrilling 2D platforming adventure set against nostalgic 8-bit backdrops. Swing, deflect, spin, and power hit your way through exciting baseball-style combat. Explore a vast world of unique and exciting environments, ultimately leading to a showdown with one of Batboy's brainwashed allies. Take on the powers of your allies as you free them from the influence of Lord Vicious. Glorious 8-bit visuals reminiscent of early legendary platformers, high octane chip tunes from Invader Music, composer for Smelter and Super Sammy Roll. Dozens of enemies, exciting bosses, intriguing companions to encounter. Make your way to your allies using your baseball bat to go up against Lord Vicious goons and solve puzzles. Hidden secrets, collectibles, unlockable music, and much more to find. So, honestly, really glad to see this one on my radar. And it looks like it's launching on the 25th of this month. So if that's something you would be interested in, you're not going to have to wait too long. And this is up there with some of those indie games that I'm always on the lookout for, right? So stay tuned. We'll definitely give this one some more coverage, and you'll get some of my hands-on impression with this game as well. Moving on, League of Legends platforming spinoff Convergence leaps onto the Switch this month. May is a big month for the Switch, you guys. There are a lot of games coming out on Switch. So I hope your wallet is ready. This is from Nintendo Life, and it says 2023 is promising to be a good year for League of Legends fans, at least for those excited about spin-offs. We've heard of two upcoming titles back in the hazy days of 2021, Convergence and Song of Nunu. I'm not sure if I said that right. We now know that the former is heading our way in a few weeks on the 23rd of May. The League of Legends franchise has never been against genre jumping in its spin-offs, and it looks just look at the turn-based RPG Ruin King from a few years back and the ever action-focused The Mage Seeker from last month. And Convergence is no exception. This time-traveling platformer from the developers Double Stallion Games will see you taking on the role of Echo, a League of Legends champion who has the ability of time manipulation to keep the city of Zaun safe. From the gameplay that we've seen so far, this platformer looks to be heavy focus on combat and time traveling mechanic, and will hopefully provide a fun twist too. For a little more information about the game's story, we got some screenshots below. So, coverage: a League of Legends. This is I'm assuming from the publisher. It says Convergence. I think I've read it wrong every time. Forgive me if I have, but it's Convergence. A League of Legends story is a story-driven, single-player 2D action platformer. Traverse the sprawling city of Zaun as Echo, with his ability to travel through space and time. He and his friends must work together to keep their city safe, but as danger looms and secrets come to light, Echo realizes he can't trust anyone, not even himself. Convergence, a League of Legends story, rewinds its way to Switch later this month. Now, this what's interesting about this game, for me personally, when Overwatch came out, I wanted a Tracer game that had similar mechanics to what we're seeing here. Because of Tracer's rewind feature, I wanted to see a platformer with Tracer. I felt like it could be very like Mega Man, Castlevania, Metroid-esque with Tracer, who's a great character. And but then with her abilities to rewind, I just thought it could be kind of cool, something similar to like Braid. Now this game's coming out later this month, and I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about it. I like the way it looks. The gameplay has definitely piqued my interest, and so this will be one that we'll get a little more coverage on as well. Because I mean, what's not to like about a brawling platformer, right? So pretty excited about that. The last little bit of news here is Minute Fundraiser, according to the article from Nintendo Life. It says Minute Fundraiser is cheap and cheerful with all proceeds going to charity. So it says, buckle up. Minute Fundraiser is a peculiar little racing game with 100% of developer and devolver's profits going directly to charity forever. Now it does say profits, right? So they're still paying their devs and everything. And a lot of people want to know, well, where's the money going? What's the charity that I'm going to be supporting by picking this game up? Now, from what I can tell from going through the comment section here on Nintendo Life, somebody says that Twitter tells me the first charity they are supporting is Doctors Without Borders. So that's where the money will be heading. This game looks really quite just really quirky, honestly. And going through some of these comments, it says I wasn't too keen on the first minute, had interesting concept, but in practice it was just annoying to play. Cool, there's a spin-off game, I guess, and it feels like a very bizarre choice. These are just some of the comments in on the Nintendo Life article. And so another person commented and said the gameplay trailer in one of the Indie World presentations looked fun. Plus, if it's anything like Minute, the soundtrack is going to be worth the price of admission alone. So, again, I'm kind of getting some like Excite Bike vibes a little bit from this, and kind of just some more like kind of classic NES, even Atari racers potentially. But again, I'm just looking at a handful of screenshots here, so I don't really know. But it is only $2.99. So if it is something that is that you want to pick up and help support at this time, I think the charities are going to change over time, but at this time they're going to be the profits will be supporting Doctors Without Borders. Go ahead and check this one out. I may grab it just to see what it's like. The art style is definitely very it's very unique. It's very quirky, but could be a good time for just $3. Not too big a dent in the wallet there with Minute, and again helping support Doctors Without Borders from what I can tell anyway. Lastly, I don't have an article here, but I've seen a lot of other YouTubers talking about the way Kotaku is handling their lack of getting Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And honestly, it's kind of crazy. They went on to complain on Twitter about not getting early copies and then proceeded to put out articles spoiling the game, putting out the leaks, basically making it very clear that they downloaded one of the ROMs and have no problem sharing the information before release day. And the unfortunate thing, it just seems like Kotaku is doing what Kotaku does, and that's just kind of not being great, unfortunately. So, if you're wanting, I guess if you're wanting more leaks and spoilers, you can go check it out. But such a strange choice to go on Twitter, complain about how Nintendo isn't giving them early copies of the game, and then proceed to share the leaks. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking. It's like you're biting the hand that feeds, essentially. Or at this point, they probably just don't even care because the clicks is all they care about, and they're still going to get them by showing off, spoilers and leaks of The Legend of Zelda. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't sit well with me. But I love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. There will be a spot in the podcast player where you can leave a comment. Also in the YouTube video in the comment section. I kind of want to hear from you guys though. I'm so excited about doing these things daily. I honestly love it. I know that for me, the whole reason I do this is to hopefully you're able to get some of your Nintendo news without having to go and spend time searching blogs or whatever. You can just listen on your commute or while you're at work. But I also want to hear what are some other ideas for shows. I'm going to get to the point that I mean, starting today, I'm launching a number of shows, a number of episodes, but I also want to hear from you guys. Again, I want to get more of your voices in the um, on the show. You know, whether it's through your comments or through recorded video, whatever the case may be. But what are some things that you think would be fun for me to cover? I'm going to come up with basically a weekly schedule of what's going to come out each day of the week on top of the Nintendo News Minute. And I'm so excited to be doing this and to have this opportunity to be able to bring you guys Nintendo news, bring you fun Nintendo content, and I've got completely new shows launching as well. A Star Wars podcast, which that's the title, is launching on the 4th, which is tomorrow, and the Pokemon Poke News Now is also getting rebooted, and we're starting that back up again. So I want to hear from you. Let me know what you'd like me to do, to maybe some additions, feedback, whatever the case may be. This is really for you guys. And so I want it to be the best I can. Obviously, some people may have different ideas, and I can't appease everybody, but I do want to hear from you and see if there are different things that I can do that can make the show more fun, more enjoyable, and basically help you make your workday go by faster, help you make your workouts go faster, or make your commute a little better. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everything, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.